Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing some Standard, and actually going to be checking out the winner from the D-Gen Open, my streaming team's tournament of choice. It's a great little show if you're into competitive tournaments and things like that, so highly recommend checking them out. But we're going to be checking out the first place winner today because it's a really sweet deck, and it looks like something I would build, but it works. And that is going to be Dragonstorm. So this one was won by Tristan Wild LaRue. I'm not sure if they're the original creator of this deck. It looks like something similar I've seen before. So don't actually know if it's an established thing or not. I've certainly seen similar looking iterations of it in the past, but yeah, this one's wild. It is built for best of 3, so it does have a full sideboard, and I'll leave the link to this list in the description as well if you want to check it out. And I'm going to be playing it as is, because I think it mostly looks like it could handle best of 1, but you know, that's what today's going to be all about. So you might be asking yourself, why is it called Dragonstorm? Well, it's built around Goldspan Dragon, everyone's favorite 5-drop. When it attacks, it creates a treasure, or when it becomes the target of a spell. That's very important. And it also has a passive that says treasures you control add 2 mana of any one color. So your treasures double up on their mana. It's pretty absurd. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to get down Goldspan Dragon as early as possible, and then target it as much as we possibly can. And there's one thing that we can target this with that's really powerful, and that is Show of Confidence. 2 mana, 1 and a white for an instant speed spell. When you cast this spell, you copy it for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast this turn, and you may choose new targets for the copies. And it puts a 1/1 counter on a creature, and it gains vigilance until the end of the turn. So for each instant and sorcery spell you've cast before Show of Confidence, you make a copy of this, and then you get to retarget. That means for 2 mana on its own, it's going to be a free spell target in Goldspan Dragon. If you cast the spell before it, suddenly you've netted yourself 2 mana, then 4 mana, then 6 mana, then 8 mana. And that's how we're going to be able to storm off. We've only got 2 copies of Show of Confidence, so we've got a lot of ways to dig through the deck. And we've also got Leah, Disciple of the Drowned, on the top end as well, as a 5 mana 3/4 that can't be countered, or spells can't be countered, sorry. And then each instant and sorcery in your graveyard gets flashback. So we've kind of got a virtual 4 copies of Show of Confidence, but we don't really want to see this card in the early game. We want to see it when we're going off and drawing loads of cards. So plenty of ways to dig through the deck. We got Unexpected Windfall, which discards a card, draws 2 and makes 2 treasure tokens. The discard is not too much of a downside because we have Lear at the top end, so anything we dump into the yard is probably going to be fuel for Lear in the end. Behold the Multiverse, Prismari Command, Expressive Iteration, you know, the usual card draw nonsense. New Capenna's actually created a strictly better version of Unexpected Windfall, which I suspect is a card that wants to be in this list alongside Unexpected Windfall. So it's basically the same card, except for it's 3 and a red instead of 2 and 2 red. So that's probably what replaces Behold the Multiverse, if I had to guess. And maybe even Thirst for Discovery, I don't know. So then you'd have like 6 copies of this Windfall. So when the new Capenna comes around, it's definitely worth looking back into this deck to see if there's any tweaks that can be made. I know it's not getting an updated mana base though, since this is Jeskai, and that's not one of the tricolor families, I guess they're called. But yeah, once we've got Goldspan Dragon triggering anyway, we're going to be making a Super Goldspan. And that's going to be how we go for our Show of Confidence. We can protect our Goldspan with You See a Guard Approach, giving Hexproof, Sajiri's Shelter to do the same, Show of Confidence to put it out of any kind of burn range, though as a 4/4 it's pretty much out of that range anyway. And then we got the March of Swirling Mist, which has 2 effects. Well, 3 really. You can cast it for 0 to have it be part of your storm count for Show of Confidence. You can cast it for 1 to target your Goldspan Dragon and then use that to create a treasure and protect your Goldspan combo. And then you can also use it to phase out your opponent's creatures, allowing the Goldspan Dragon to swing on through. Not that we really need to give Goldspan Dragon trample or get rid of its blockers, because we also have a single copy of Kazul's Fury to fling the Goldspan at our opponent. We can quite easily with this deck get up to 20 power and toughness with Goldspan Dragon, so flinging your opponent with Kazul's Fury is not too much trouble. And if we don't find the Fury, and we do have a clear path to our opponent's face with Goldspan Dragon, we also have Alchemist Gambit, which allows us to take extra turns. We can do it for 3 mana, but we'd lose on the next end step. But if we do it for 7 mana, which is easy because we get double mana treasures, then it's just an extra turn spell. So we can hit our opponent in the face, take an extra turn, hit them again, kill them, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's really all I'm going to say on the deck. It looks super sweet. It won a tournament in its best of 3 form, and I'd imagine in its best of 1 form, it could do just fine. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about as far as best of 1 versions is concerned is the 1 copy of Burn Down the House. It might need a little bit more early game removal, so you might see a little iteration from it throughout today's video, potentially. If I do iterate on it, I'll leave the best of 1 version in the description instead of this best of 3 version. Or maybe I'll just leave both, I'm not quite sure. But it does have Voltaic Surges, Spikefield Hazards, and, you know, Burn Down the House and Prismari Command as a little bit of removal. But it might need a little bit more. Time will tell. Anyway, guys, if you do enjoy today's content, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get on with it. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty then, we're in on the draw. It's technically a 3-lander, but I imagine I need to use this Juari's Disruption. It's my only form of interaction. We do have the Show of Confidence, which is not terribly useful at this point in time, and we do have the Goldspan Dragon. It's a tough one. I don't actually know if you keep a hand that looks like this. But I'd imagine there's a good chance we'll draw some extra lands, and this Disruption's probably going to hit something. I'm just a little concerned it doesn't have any removal in it. But we'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens. For science. Alright, Bloodfell Caves. We did draw the land. Fantastic. And it is the red source we were looking for. So let's go Hall of the Storm Giants and pass. Acquisitions Expert. I get to show you a card and you get to take it. Alright, you can have a look at the Show of Confidence, because I won't need it until much later. Presumably. I presume quite a lot. We got a Galvanic Iteration there, so we can do some copying. Opponent's going to get in for 1. Yeah, maybe we'll hit like a Graveyard Trespasser here. That would be an awful card for us, so hitting that with rude. Alright, so they get to take a Goldspan Dragon. Sure. Playing around Disruption perfectly there. So I need to find Prismari Commands, Surges, Spikefield Hazards, any of that nonsense, ideally. Oh, this is getting kind of foul. They know I've got Juari's Disruption now, so they'll just play around it for the rest of the game. So I think I'm just gonna make sure that I hit my 4th land drop by playing it as a land here. I don't think I can afford to miss on Unexpected Windfall, so... But it says for 3. There is an unknown in my hand, so they've still got to respect Juari's Ruins. And the 1 mana off of turning... turning Valky into a Goldspan Dragon, so I need the draw here to really pay off. Mix of Vampire. Not looking good for me. So we drew a land. Gonna go Unexpected Windfall, dumping Iteration since it has Flashback. And then we can still hit a removal spell here. Alright, we got a burn down the house and a replacement Goldspan Dragon. That's going to be super good for us as long as our opponent can't disrupt this. Which I don't imagine they can. Bloodfell Caves, another tap land. Opponent must be on a budget, because there's absolutely no logical reason to use Bloodfell Caves, in my opinion. Alright. This is a pretty good 4-for-1 here. 5-for-1. It just keeps getting better and better. Spitefield Hazard. There's no reason for me to do that, I don't believe. I mean, this entire hand is red, so I guess I'm just okay with triple red here. And then 5 damage to each Planeswalker and each creature, please. Oof, oof, owie. That's kind of why I think that we should probably have... Played my land already. Should maybe have another board wipe, because this deck does a lot of durdling in the early game. And yeah, we're on the verge of just popping off next turn. Since we got the Goldspan Dragon coming in for the attack, our opponent probably has some removal for it, I'd assume, but that will generate me a treasure, and then Unexpected Windfall can basically be free here and cycle through my deck. So yeah, while we didn't get to see the deck go off, we got to see one of the win cons, which is ruin our opponent's day. So pretty sweet. On to the next one. Alright, we go first, and we've got a Disruption to play on the play, so it's going to be pretty good for us. Double Lear's less than ideal, but we've got an iteration to fix this hand up nice and good, so yeah, we're going to keep this hand. On the strength of a Dwari's Disruption, our opponent is red-green, so they're Naya runes. Okay. Well, I'm going to disrupt whatever they play here, which might be like a Jukai Naturalist. There's a lot of 2-drops in their deck, so I imagine we're going to get some value here. Yeah, that's Jukai mana. Does pump up the Visitor, but the Visitor still dies to Prismari commands, so... Okay, they managed to get a Commune under the Disruption. And a Hallowed Haunting. I guess we hope for a land here. Fantastic. Question is, do I definitely put this on red, because I've already got my double blue. As blue as my hand is, I think that's still correct. I think I'm hitting Visitor with Prismari command. I could wait until they play a rune and then get a little bit more value, denying them the card draw, perhaps. So it's not as though the Visitor gets pumped out of range. So you can have an extra point of damage here. Trade 1 point for... Well, in this case, Dwari's Disruption right on cue. Take that as well. And then we got the Storm-Carved Coast. Which I think I will just play... Could do double iteration. I'll Galvanic into Expressive Iteration. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to do. Although I suppose this was a bad idea. I don't get the exile cards, really. So let's go hand, bottom, exile. Hand, bottom, exile, I suppose. Yeah, I played that as though I had a land drop to make, and obviously that would have worked out nicely if I did, but I didn't, so... Little bit of a less than ideal sequence there. I definitely want to kill this Visitor before it gets out of range. So let's just deal the 2 damage and then make the treasure. I'm going to either need to win soon or I'm going to need to sweep the board. That is kind of like the one thing that makes me think that Burn Down the House doesn't need to be more of a one-of, is because by the time Burn Down the House is good, that's when we should be thinking about comboing off and winning. which to a certain extent is where we are just about. Like, if I get a land drop for Lear, I'm going to be really happy. Cameo Transients. Gets a nice little pump. See a guard approach. So let's Windfall one of the Lears, because we got a spare, and now we've got the protection for it as well. Iteration would use 2 treasures looking for a land. I don't think that's really worth it. So I guess we pass. The Hallowed Haunting pumps the Kami and makes a Spirit. Yeah, we are getting into Spooky Town territory here. Got the land though, that's fantastic. So blue, play Lear. Lear can tap down the Kami plus protect Lear, or double tap as well. Also have access... actually, Dwari's Disruption doesn't really work in this scenario. Alright, so... we've got perfect information for the turn, just about. If this hits a land, then there's a 1-drop they could play, I guess. It did hit a land, and it is a green land, so they can play a Generous Visitor or a Commune with Spirits. It's going to be the Commune. I feel like I would have gone with the Generous Visitor myself, but... yeah, I need to do double tap here. So tap Kami. Tap Spirit Token. And then take 5, and then we have to go off this turn, which is doable if we top deck Goldspan Dragon. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. So. Goldspan Dragon. Let's think about this very carefully. I have 2 mana to play with. I should attack first to have 4 mana to play with. Hit my opponent for 4. Then I'm going to Unexpected Windfall. Discarding the Lear. Getting 1 extra mana from Prismari Command, dealing 2 and making a treasure. 2 to Goldspan, yes, make a treasure. So I've gained 1 mana now. Then I can go... Iteration. Actually, let me think about this. Iteration, I think, is correct for 2 mana. Show of Confidence, Goldspan Dragon. Make lots of copies. So every single copy is going to make a treasure. So we got lots of mana now. 10 mana total. Now we can go Expressive Iteration. Alchemist Gambit. Yeah, hand... bottom, exile, Unexpected Windfall, the Goldspan Dragon, play a land for the turn, I suppose. Unexpected Windfall is free again. Discard the land. Trying to make sure that the Show of Confidence can do as much as possible. Scry 2, draw 2. Iteration. I'll take an iteration. 2, 4, 6. And yeah, I've got lethal now. So now we go Show of Confidence, Goldspan Dragon. Make 1,000,000 copies. As long as I've done my math correctly, I should have enough for Galvanic Iteration plus 2 extra turns with Alchemist Gambit. Which obviously, with the board state as it currently stands, is enough combat damage to win the game. Oh, baby. Oh, I love this deck. It's so cool. Oh, it's probably a terrible meta deck, but... boy, is it fun to experience for the first time. Copy my next spell. My next spell is take 2 extra turns without the clause of losing the game. Our opponent scoops it up. Alright, so they were just looking for my win con. So I actually could have continued on had I not had the extra turns to win the game with just Goldspan alone. I've got Prismaria Command, Iteration, plus a copy, making 1 extra one of these, and a Behold the Multiverse. All of those could go and dig for Kazul's Fury, and then with my 18/18 here, I could fling that at my opponent's face. So that's just another way that I could win the game. But yeah, repeated combat damage with Goldspan Dragon here is going to be enough. So yeah, just playing to our outs here, making sure that we didn't die. And I guess it's another scenario where, yeah, praise be to just one burn down the house. I almost put 2 in for the deck, but it's been functioning just fine as it currently stands. And as I say, on turn 5, we're looking to try and win quite a fair bit of the time, or somewhere thereabouts. At the time when you would be sweeping the board, you could just be winning the game, as hopefully this game has proved. But yeah, that was pretty sweet. Let's see if we can do it again. Alright, we play first. We've got Iteration to make this hand anything we want it to be. We've got a tapper / protection spell for Goldspan Dragon. And yeah, decent mana. So I'm going to keep this one. I think we'll start on Storm-Carved Coasts, because I do want that blue open, just in case you see a guard approach is relevant. Shambling Ghast. Okay, we're going to play Hall of the Storm Giants here and pass. Planning on going Expressive Iteration next turn, presumably. Opponent will hit us for 1. So is this going to be like a red-black anvil list, or is it going to be mono-black control? Dockside Chef, okay. I've not learned anything extra about this deck so far. Spyfield Hazard's a good one. I can hit the Eye Twitch before they get to sacrifice it. I think I'll do that. So let's Iteration first. I know that I can at least... yeah, so let's go... hand... bottom, exile, because I was going to hazard anyway. And now I get to play the mountain and hazard the Eye Twitch. If they were looking to sacrifice that to get the land spell out of their sideboard, then I've upset that a little bit. So it's black-white. They can still make the treasure off the Shambling Ghast. Morbid Opportunist, okay. They have opened themselves up to another Spikefield Hazard on Shambling Ghast, which I can't help but think is a good idea to take that opportunity. Doesn't die, it gets exiled, so nothing gets triggered here. And I suppose I could threaten our opponent with a Archmage's Charm with my triple blue. And yeah, we're kind of about in tire spinning territory, we're going to need a good top deck. I mean, we can play Goldspan Dragon and attack with it, and protect it with guard approach. But other than that, we're not really in a position to win the game right now. So it would be nice to get a good spell, like a Windfall. Iteration. That's not going to do much for me. I'm going to play the land. Yeah, I think I just pass here. I'm not convinced going for Goldspan here is a good idea, because I don't really do anything. Going to be sacking something with Dockside Chef? Sacking itself, okay. Might be digging for some hand disruption, perhaps. Not that much of it in the format, to be honest. But they are kind of on, like, Kaya territory, maybe, if that's a card in their deck. A Lolth, maybe. Lots of big bomb threats. Sorin's annoying. Not the end of the world, though. Make a vampire here. Yep. Come on, top decks.
I bring my own army.
It's a land. I think we're still passing. Yeah, we still haven't really found anything good. This is looking like one of those variance games, really. You know, we should... Oh, come on. We should be winning the game right now, but obviously... we haven't really drawn the half of our deck that performs at this stage in the game. So obviously they're going to predate my Goldspan Dragon here, which will set me back a million years. Nobody plays this card, so it's not even worth playing around. It's probably a one-of in their deck or something like that, if anything. Oh, come on! Ah, yes. The old looking for a card, and when it finally becomes useful, that's when you don't draw it. If I had the Goldspan here, I think I look like I'm winning, I think. Stump the Show of Confidence. Draw 4, gain 4 treasures. Yeah, turn earlier and that Windfall is huge for us. Alright, well, we do get the Lear. I'm not playing Lear out, though. Lear's too important to... well, Lear's very important, but I would be exposing Lear to a removal spell, which my opponent almost assuredly has, and the treasures are actually very useful to me. Instead, what we can do is Lear, protect Lear with, you see a guard approach. In response to another removal spell, we can flash it back. So now we are pretty much set up to win the game. We just need to find another backup Goldspan Dragon, which Expressive Iteration can go and look for. We're not too pressured on our life total just yet, so we've got a few more turns before we need to be really concerned. So -2 on the Sorin to make another vampire. I'd almost be tempted to do that, personally. End this game rather than drawing cards that are useful probably to grind out the game. So 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we could potentially win the game if we just draw Goldspan Dragon. I think our graveyard's stacked enough for that to be the case. We already got the Show of Confidence. We got some Windfalls for free spells. We got copies that we could make. It's all looking real nice. So I wonder what our opponent's thinking. Do they have more hand disruption? They probably don't have any Graveyard Hate, because they would have absolutely already played it. I think you'd Turbo Slam any Graveyard Hate. If you know what this deck is, anyway. And there's a free iteration in my graveyard right now. You can take a spell that you know is useful. X0 Meat Hook Massacre. Okay. That punishes me for sweeping the board. But I won't be doing that. Yeah, I'm not doing anything here. Jwari's Disruption is a terrible draw. So, I think it's definitely time for a Leer. And it almost assuredly has a lot of removal for me here. Let's start with... I'm thinking Expressive Iteration from the graveyard. Really need to find that gold span. Opponent goes for the kill. Hexproof, please. They can potentially get me in response, but most removal spells will be 2 mana, I would assume. So that's Leer protected for the rest of my turn. Oh boy, we got Goldspan. Hand. I made my land drop. I don't think I have, no. Bottom, exile. Play this on blue. So I can't play Goldspan right now. So I think I have to just pass. Yeah. There was an argument to go for the Surge, sacking a treasure to kill either the Opportunist or the Vampire token. But I don't think the life loss from any of these is particularly all that relevant, and it would have been blown out by a Deadly Dispute, apparently. Can't counter it, so Disruption is kind of just dead in my hand right now. Gotta remember my only way of actually dealing with my opponent's stuff is by either pumping it out of range of a Meat Up Massacre, perhaps, or using this You See a Guard approach. Our opponent wouldn't really go after Leer unless they had 2 removal spells. I do, however, have a backup Leer, so while I can use this card to protect Leer, it's not the end of the world if they do successfully manage to take it off the board. If anything, I'd rather not need to use this this protection spell. Okay. Hexproof, please. That worked far too fast. So that probably means they've only got... Oof. Is that me dead? I think that's me dead. Can't gain any life. Oh no, I'm on 1. Never mind. I can't count. Does that mean I win then? Does that mean I win? Let's see. Land drop for the turn. Best land drop we can play, so we might as well just do it. We got Goldspan Dragon now. Doubling our mana. We're going to play Leer. I think we win now. Can play cards in my yard, so I've got 2 for 5 mana. Let's go Unexpected Windfall. Discarding Jwari's Disruption. Not too pleased about hitting Disruption there. 5 mana again. Ooh, so this is a sticking point because I've got this Show of Confidence to make me mana, and it's going to get me... It's going to net me 2 mana. So I've got 1, 5, 7 mana total. Then I've got to somehow make Expressive Iteration into another card. And there's not that many cards it could be. I guess I have Spitefield Hazard, Goldspan. I forgot about that. This can net me mana. This can net me a lot of mana. Alright. That makes things a lot better. So now I can go Iteration for 2 mana into Expressive Iteration. Dig deep into my deck for cards that are useful. None of these cards are very useful. But I can put Otawara in my hand for bouncing the Vampire token. Bottom Exile. Hand. Bottom Exile. Sajiri Shelter can have protection from black, so I can push through my opponent's board now. We're going to Show of Confidence the Goldspan Dragon. I think this means I win. Target the Goldspan every time. What a silly, silly, wonderful deck. Oh, I love it. So, we got 12 mana and a 10-10, which is going to be an 11-11 because of the Sajiri Shelter. So, protection from black. Sequencing on this is not going to matter because I have no black spells to target my own creature with. Otherwise, you would want to be a little bit more cautious about giving your creature protection. Because if you did blue or red, you could no longer target it with anything good. So now I'm going to go Expressive Iteration. Looking for a few more pieces of damage. Prismari Command is one of them. Bottom Exile doesn't really matter there. Then we're going to go Otawara, bouncing this token. I'm a tiny little bit short here. I'm going to have to do draw 2, discard 2, make a treasure. No, deal 2 damage. 2 damage, draw 2, discard 2. Alright, our opponent's had enough. I do need to find a little bit more damage, right? Because, well, we ranked up, so that's awesome anyway. I've got the 10 damage here, plus the 10 damage here for 20. This is 22. Still need to find 2 points of damage, and I don't currently have that on board right now. I do have Burn Down the House that could make devils, but our opponent can push through over the top of them with the Vampire token there. So our opponent conceded at exactly the point that they shouldn't have, which is me hoping that the top 2 cards in my deck are good. So there's that. Oh, actually, no, I'm wrong, because Kazul's Fury flings Goldspan, then Leah can go Kazul's Fury from the graveyard, actually. So no, we do have lethal already. I wasn't going to put this in the trash anyway, so I would have obviously figured that out the moment I flung the Goldspan Dragon. But still, it's, I guess, worth making sure that you absolutely have your opponent dead. But yeah, that was super sweet, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck. It is, yeah, in its current form, it's good for best of 3, it's good for best of 1, so I'd highly recommend playing it if you do have the cards for it. It doesn't really contain any cards that aren't playable in the standard format right now. Obviously, Goldspan Dragon and Leah are just like turbocharged, and then the combo pieces are all, you know, commons and uncommons, really. So yeah, it's a nice deck for people on a lower budget. I don't think you'll struggle too much to build this one. I guess the mana base is really the sticking point, but again, you kind of need those to compete in standard alchemy and in some cases with, I guess, Stormcard of Coast and Basic Mountain. You need those to compete in Historic as well, so yeah, it's definitely a deck worth crafting for now. It might fall out of favor soon as players start to understand that it exists and tech around it, but until then, it's disgustingly good and a lot of fun. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, hit that like button and subscribe as well for more content like this in the future. We'll be back later on in the week, but until then, take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.